This is getting out of hand. Once again, something was thrown onto the court during a WNBA game, and Sophie Cunningham is no longer holding back. She's speaking directly to fans, calling out the league, and demanding change before someone gets hurt. This season was supposed to be historic. Record-breaking viewership, major media coverage, sold-out arenas. Finally, women's basketball getting the spotlight it's earned for decades. But instead of celebrating that moment, we're talking about a fan tossing something inappropriate onto the hardwood. Again, let's rewind. It was Friday night. The Valkyries and Chicago Sky were locked in a tough physical battle. Third quarter. The energy's electric, and suddenly, a bright green object flies out from the stands and lands smack in the middle of the court. The game stops. The crowd freezes. The referees blow the whistle. And Sophie Cunningham? She's done playing nice. She jumps on social media with a simple, pointed message. Stop throwing things on the court. You're going to hurt one of us. And she's absolutely right. This isn't just bad behavior. It's dangerous. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Players are sprinting full speed, diving for loose balls, changing direction in midair. Any unexpected object on the floor becomes a serious hazard. Twisted ankles, knee injuries, worse. And for what? A joke? A viral video? A moment of attention? That's not fan energy. That's reckless. Sophie Cunningham knows what's at stake. This isn't her first time calling out disrespect in the stands. She's clapped back at hecklers, handled ridiculous post-game questions, taken hard fouls, and now, she's supposed to worry about debris flying at her mid-play? This isn't basketball anymore. It's turning into chaos. And the worst part? It wasn't even a one-time thing. Just a few days earlier, another game, Valkyries versus Dream, was interrupted by a similar stunt. Same color, same shape, same outcome. The object fell onto the court with under a minute left in a tied game. Tension was sky high. Both teams were locked in. And someone from the stands decided that was a moment to disrupt the game. No wonder Sophie had enough. Announcers tried to play it cool. Something just flew from the stands. One said, another added. That's when the whistle has to blow. Players deserve to feel safe. Exactly. This isn't about being overly sensitive. It's about protecting athletes. These are professional competitors, some of the best in the world. They've trained their entire lives for moments like this, and now they have to dodge unexpected objects like they're part of a halftime stunt? No way. Angel Reese, always a jokester, tried to lighten the mood with a funny post, but that only underscored how surreal it's become. For Sophie and a lot of other players, this isn't funny anymore. It's a serious problem, and it speaks to something deeper in the culture around women's sports. Because let's be honest, men's games don't deal with this kind of nonsense. If this happened during an NBA game, there would be immediate consequences. The fan would be escorted out, banned from the arena, possibly even arrested. Headlines would focus on the violation and the safety risks. But here, an usher quietly picks up the object. No ejection, no consequences, just awkward laughter and a few confused tweets. And that silence, it sends a message that the league doesn't take this seriously. And that's exactly what Sophie Cunningham is fighting against. Because for every highlight the WNBA gives us, every buzzer beater, crossover, triple-double, there's someone trying to turn the moment into a punchline. Someone reducing world-class athletes to sideshow entertainment. And Sophie's not having it. She's not just standing up for herself. She's speaking for every player who's ever been told to smile and deal with it. For every woman who's been told to be grateful just to be on the court. For every teammate who's worked too hard to see their game turned into a joke. This league deserves better. These players deserve better. And if the WNBA wants to keep building momentum, if it wants to be taken seriously on the global sports stage, it needs to start protecting its own. That means security upgrades. That means immediate consequences for disruptive fans. That means a public statement making it crystal clear. This is a professional league, and it will be treated as such. Because you can't keep promoting the players, selling the jerseys, hyping the rivalries, and then goes silent when one of your athletes is begging fans not to throw things at her. Respect goes both ways. And if the league doesn't draw the line now, it won't just be toys flying next time. It'll be bottles, cups, phones, things that will cause injuries. This isn't about overreacting. It's about being proactive. Before someone ends up on an injury, report for reasons that have nothing to do with basketball. Sophie Cunningham was bold enough to say it out loud. Now it's time for the league to back her up. Because if not now, after 2 incidents in 1 week, then when? If we want the WNBA to keep growing, to keep thriving, then we need to treat it like the major league it is. And that starts with respecting the athletes, keeping the court clear, and showing up to cheer, not to disrupt. This moment, as uncomfortable as it is, marks a crossroads for the WNBA. For years, the players have asked for attention, for fairness, for visibility, and they've finally gotten it. The media is paying attention. Celebrities are courtside. Viewership is up. And instead of being celebrated, they're being disrespected, mid-play no less, by fans who don't know how to act. It's the same paradox that's haunted women's sports for decades. You should be grateful we're even watching. No, that's not how this works. This isn't charity. It's earned. Sophie Cunningham didn't make that post because she was upset about one object. She made it because she knows what it represents. The fragile line between respect and ridicule. And let's be real, this isn't about being too sensitive. When players speak up about treatment on the court or safety, or the way they're perceived by fans and media, the response is almost always the same. Just take it as a joke. Don't ruin the fun. It's not that deep, but it is that deep. Because when something flies onto the court, no matter what it is, it becomes a symbol of where the line should be, and how many people are willing to cross it just to get a laugh or a few retweets. These players aren't props. They're not reality TV contestants. They're professionals at the top of their game. And if a line was crossed during an NBA Finals game, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. The reaction would be swift, public, and loud. But the silence surrounding the WNBA after this incident, that's not just disappointing. It's insulting. And it puts players like Sophie in an impossible position. They're the ones getting hit, literally and figuratively. And they're also the ones expected to handle it with grace, to joke it off, to set a good example. But the example Sophie set, that's the one the league should be following. Because it was clear, unapologetic, and rooted in self-respect. She wasn't just protecting herself. She was protecting the game. The game that so many players before her built without the fame, without the sponsors, without the platforms. The pioneers, the ones who flew coach, who played back-to-backs on short rest, who smiled through every "you should be in the kitchen" comment online just to get one more season in. And now that the world is finally watching, they're going to let fans turn it into chaos? That's not just irresponsible, it's a betrayal. The league has a choice now. Double down on the progress they've made. Protect the product. Respect the players. Or continue treating the athletes like they're secondary to the spectacle. Because this new era, it's not like the old one. Today's WNBA is full of stars who are household names. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Aya Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Plum, and yes, Sophie Cunningham. These women are selling out arenas, moving merchandise, driving conversation. They're the moment, and they know it. But with that visibility comes a responsibility to raise the standards for everyone else. That means the fans. It means the media. And it absolutely means the league. Because fans will only do what the environment allows. If arenas are lax on security, if disruptive behavior is brushed off, if the broadcast treats it like a joke, fans will take the hint. They'll push the boundaries even further. We've seen it before. In every sport. One fan throws a cup. The next one throws a bottle. And then someone decides they're part of the show and walks onto the court. It always starts small. But this league doesn't have the luxury of small. Every moment is magnified. Every interaction dissected. So when Sophie Cunningham says enough is enough, that's not drama. That's leadership. She's drawing a line because she knows the cost of letting it get blurry. She knows the difference between growing pains and growing recklessness, and she's making it clear that she won't play in a league that treats her safety like an afterthought. And here's the thing, she shouldn't have to. No athlete should, not in a league that's supposed to be breaking barriers, setting standards, changing the culture. Because if the WNBA can't even guarantee a clean court for its players, how can it expect anyone to take it seriously? You can have the biggest TV deals, the flashiest branding, the most iconic rivalries, but if your players are dodging objects in the middle of games, that all fades into noise. Respect starts with protection. Protection creates trust, and trust is what allows a league to thrive. So here's what the WNBA needs to do. Make an example of this. Track down the fan. Ban them from games. Make it public. Let everyone know this is not entertainment. This is not part of the experience. This is unacceptable. Then tighten security. More presence on the court sidelines. More awareness in the crowd. Metal detectors, if needed. Give the players peace of mind so they can do what they came to do, compete. And most importantly, listen to them. When Sophie speaks up, don't ignore her. Don't silence her. Don't tell her she's being dramatic. Amplify her voice, because that voice is the heartbeat of your league. And if you don't protect it, you'll lose more than just games. You'll lose the very thing that made this league matter in the first place. Heart. Because make no mistake, Sophie's not alone. Other players are watching, quietly nodding, holding back their own frustrations because they don't want to be the one who makes it a thing. But they've all had their moment. The hecklers, the jokes, the dismissiveness, the disrespect, and now the thrown objects. This wasn't about one fan crossing the line. It's about the fact that no one stopped them. It's about the silence after. It's about whether the league will protect its own or leave its players to fend for themselves yet again. So yeah, Sophie Cunningham snapped. She had every reason to. And now the ball's in the league's court. Because next time, it might not miss. And no one's going to find that funny. You can't talk about this moment without talking about what it means for Sophie Cunningham's role in the league. Because let's be honest, Sophie's not just a scrappy shooter or an emotional spark plug. She's turning into something more dangerous, a truth teller, a player willing to call things exactly as she sees them, even when it's not polished or PR friendly. And for a league built on respect and progress, that should be celebrated, not sidelined. When she posted that now viral message, "Stop throwing stuff on the court. You're going to hurt one of us." It wasn't just about safety. It was about dignity, boundaries, professionalism. It was a reminder to everyone watching. This is our workplace, not your playground. People forget that. They see a packed arena, the social media buzz, and they assume WNBA players finally made it. But what they don't see is what happens when those same fans treat a historic moment like it's just another TikTok skit. What happened during those 2 games wasn't just disruptive. It was symbolic. Symbolic of the very real gap between the attention the league is finally getting and the infrastructure is still trying to catch up. You can't have sold-out arenas without security that matches the moment. You can't have a global audience without ensuring your athletes are protected from becoming punchlines. You can't welcome a wave of new fans without educating them on the line between passion and pure disrespect. And yet, here we are, watching players like Sophie take on that burden themselves because no one else has stepped up. She didn't need to say anything. She could have stayed silent. Let it blow over. Let someone else take the hit. But that's not how she's wired. Because Sophie isn't just standing up for herself. She's standing up for every teammate who's ever been told to just deal with it. For every player who's been told to smile, to let it slide, to not rock the boat. She rocked it anyway. Because the boat needed rocking. This isn't just about what gets thrown on the court. It's about what keeps getting thrown at women athletes in general. The jokes, the scrutiny, the expectation that they should be grateful just to be seen. It's 2025, and women in sports are still having to justify their legitimacy after every game. Still having to prove they belong, even when they're outperforming expectations and breaking records. And yet, when a player speaks out about safety, suddenly it's too much? Suddenly it's dramatic? Please, If this happened during an MLB game, that person would have been escorted out in cuffs before the ball hit the ground. If it happened in the NFL, the incident would have been plastered across every news ticker, complete with a stern league-wide memo and new in-stadium policies by morning. But here, in the WNBA, it gets brushed off as a fan moment. Nah, that double standard is what Sophie Cunningham just cracked wide open. And now, there's no putting it back in the box. Because that message she posted, that fire she brought, it hit players, it hit fans, it hit media, and it sparked conversations the league can't afford to keep avoiding. This isn't about canceling fun. It's not about making sports joyless. It's about making the game safe, serious, and respected, the way every other major league already is. Let's also talk about what this means for younger fans. The WNBA has worked hard to be a family-friendly, inclusive space. They built that image with care, one rooted in community, in empowerment, in accessibility. But when games devolve into unsafe environments because of reckless fans, you lose that. You lose the parents who brought their kids to see their first live game. You lose the young girl watching her heroes on court, only to see those same heroes dodging objects mid-play. You lose trust. And once you lose that, it's hard to get back. So yes, Sophie Cunningham snapped. And thank God she did, because the league needed someone to raise the alarm before things escalated even further, before someone got hurt, before another incident turned what should be a breakout season into a public safety issue. The good news? It's not too late, but it does require action. Immediate, visible, and unapologetic. The league needs to put out a real statement, not a vague two-line tweet. They need to address their fans directly, the way Sophie did. They need to lay out expectations and consequences in clear terms. And they need to show that protecting players is a top-tier priority, not a PR afterthought. They also need to support Sophie, publicly, because nothing would be worse than letting this moment fade, or worse, treating her like she overreacted. That kind of silence would say everything players already fear, that they're expected to endure, not empowered to demand better. Let's be real. Sophie's bravery here is part of a long tradition in women's sports, of players who speak out even when it's uncomfortable, who advocate for the league's integrity, even when it might cost them spotlight or fan favor. Whether it was players boycotting the bubble season in 2020, demanding better working conditions in earlier decades, or pushing for maternity protections, this league has always been shaped by athletes who risk their comfort for collective gain. Sophie just became the next name on that list. And if the league's smart, they'll recognize the moment for what it is. Not a controversy, but a catalyst. This could be the turning point where the WNBA says, no more. No more tolerating unsafe behavior. No more brushing off disrespect. No more laughing it off when players say they don't feel safe. Because the league has too much momentum now to let it slip away. Caitlin Clark is bringing in record-breaking ratings. Angel Reese is turning arenas into fashion shows and internet content gold. Aya Wilson is rewriting what dominance looks like. And the rest of the league, from rookies to veterans, is rising to meet the moment. But all that progress, it's fragile. And if the league doesn't stand behind its players in the moments that matter, then all the buzzy headlines, sold-out games, and celebrity shout-outs won't mean a thing. The foundation of this league isn't just talent, it's trust. So build it. Back your players. Start with Sophie, because she didn't just speak out. She laid down a challenge. To the league, to the fans, to the culture, and now we wait to see who rises to meet it. The WNBA is no longer in its prove it era. It's in its protect era. Protect the progress. Protect the players. Protect the future that's finally within reach after years of underfunding, overlooked talent, and silent grind. Because if you think Sophie Cunningham is the last player who's going to speak up, you haven't been paying attention. This generation of athletes, they aren't built for silence. They aren't afraid of headlines. They've grown up with social media, with access, with the knowledge that staying quiet doesn't protect your legacy. It erases it. So when Sophie raised the alarm, she wasn't just speaking to fans. She was sending a message to her peers. You can say something. You should say something. Because if the league isn't going to protect you in moments like this, then your voice is your first line of defense. Your platform is your shield. And right now, silence only emboldens behavior. We've seen it before. In other leagues, in other arenas. Disrespect only escalates when it's rewarded with shrugs and half-laughs. But when you stop it cold, when you call it out in real time, the game changes. That's what Sophie did. And maybe she didn't say it with corporate polish or a press release. Maybe it wasn't PR approved or sponsor friendly, but it was real. And that's what fans, true fans, connect with. They don't want getting quotes. They want athletes who care, who show up, who aren't afraid to put their name on the line when something isn't right. Sophie Cunningham didn't protect her image. She protected her team, and that's leadership. So where does the WNBA go from here? Hopefully, somewhere better. Hopefully, this moment becomes a spark, not a stain. Because whether it's adding more arena staff, or installing new fan conduct guidelines, or just treating this moment with the seriousness it deserves, change needs to happen. And if it does, if the league listens, if fans get the message, then Sophie's frustration won't have been for nothing. It'll have been a reason a young player steps on the court next week and doesn't have to second-guess her footing. It'll be the reason a parent brings their daughter to a game and feels 100% confident she's safe and respected. It'll be the reason the WNBA becomes not just a great league, but a respected one. Because greatness isn't just about talent. It's about how you protect it. And right now, the WNBA has all the talent in the world. It just needs to decide if it's ready to protect it like it matters. Because if not, you can bet players like Sophie Cunningham will do it themselves. And that is how change really starts.